So, I bought the Crust bike. Find out if I still like it, some of the quirks in the build in this video. Welcome back, Pathless Peddlers, and if you're new to the channel, if you're into gravel riding, bike touring, the supple life, you have found your people, hit that subscribe button. If you guys like this content, have learned something from this channel, consider supporting the channel via PayPal or Patreon. You guys really do help this channel going, as well as getting some sweet perks and discounts from brands we truly love. If you guys saw my review on the Crust Bombora, it's no secret that I really liked it. Originally, I had tried to actually purchase the review bike that Matt had sent, but he needed it for Japan Grinduro, so I sent it back to him, and it was kind of bummed because the wait list for a new frame was about 4 months. However, a couple weeks ago while we were in Portland, someone tipped me off to a small Bombora that had never been built, so I bought it. I had it sent to Golden Pliers where they did a partial assembly of the bike. So I've been riding it for the last couple of weeks, and I thought I would share with you guys kind of my choice in components and whether I still think it was as great as I thought it was when I reviewed it. Okay, so let's look at the build. It's not a super flashy build. I feel like it's a pretty reasonable build in terms of bikes. You could build it a lot more expensive. So starting at the front, I'm running the Ritchie Venture Max handlebars. The stated width is 44 centimeters, but they actually run pretty wide and are the equivalent to the 46 millimeter cow chipper handlebars. And as I've alluded to a couple different videos, these are kind of my new favorite handlebar. The thing I really like about these bars that kind of tips it over the edge for me when compared to something like the cow chipper, because they are pretty similar, is actually these kind of ergonomic bends here in the drop. At first I didn't like them, but having used them on the bomb track and other different bikes, they really grew on me. They give kind of two distinct hand positions, one right in the hooks where you access the levers. And it's actually pretty flat and shallow here. So if you struggle with drop bars that, where the drop is too severe, then I think the Venture Max is definitely one to explore, because with that ergonomic bend, it is a lot shallower, closer to the brake levers than even on the cow chipper. So connected to the handlebars are some Rival 1x mechanical brake levers. I think it's pretty good value. Not as spendy as, Force and Red, and a little bit nicer than Apex, and it kind of strikes that nice balance. The stem isn't anything special, it's just a dimension stem. I may swap it out to something fancier and lighter in the future, but I'm still kind of figuring out where I want the handlebars to sit. And if you notice, there are a ton of spacers here. It's stacked pretty high. I'm doing this on purpose, one, for two reasons. One, I generally just like a more upright position these days. And also, I want some flexibility to move this up and down, especially when I'm running a saddlebag in the front, like the Bags by Bird bag. I need that extra clearance so it's not rubbing on the tire. So kind of left intentionally tall for the purpose of running that bag on there. The handlebar tape is by Silka. It's this kind of really fancy tape that they sent over for me to review, and it's supposed to be fairly thin, but feel like 3mm tape. I love the tactile feel of it. It's a little bit on the rubbery side. So if you got bare hands, you're still not slipping off. And so far, so good. Headset isn't anything fancy. It's Cane Creek. They're 40 something headset, just something functional, not very blingy. So let's move on to the brakes. A lot of you guys have been asking, what I think of the Yokozuna Ultimos. Are they still as good as I said they were? And the answer, guys, is yes. Just buy them already. They are amazing. I know they are on the spendier side. If you're a Patreon supporter, then you have access to a 20% off discount code on the SomaFab store, and they sell these brakes. So save yourself some money, help support the channel. One thing I will note, there is a little bit of a kerfuffle in the build because the front brake is post mount and the rear brake is flat mount. So I actually ended up buying 3 brakes in total after we figured out that the rear is flat mount, and it's also a slightly different brake. It's a Motoko brake by Yokozuna. I think there's a different number of pistons or something, but the braking sensation is still very similar. I love the general feel of them. They have good modulation, and I feel like I get lots of braking power from the hoods without even getting into the drops. So in my opinion, the closest you can get to a hydraulic disc brake feel without going full hydros. Some of you guys are going to ask about the TRP high roads. I used them in the past, but it was so long ago that I honestly have forgotten how they feel like. I know that they tend to be really bulky, whereas these are pretty slim. They've got a really small reservoir in these. So if they're anything like this or better, then get those. But for me, having tried these, you know, these are the brakes I'm going to put on all my bikes if I had unlimited funds. Let's move on to the crank here. Nothing fancy. Again, it's Apex 1x42 tooth. I think if I were to do this again, I would spec it out with a different BCD, because this is the 110. And it seems as if like 42, 40 is the smallest I can get in the front here. If I'd known this, I would have gone for a crank with a 140 BCD so I could get a 38 or 36. Would have wanted the flexibility. Had I known, probably would have gone these cranks. Why are things so confusing these days? Okay, in the rear, it's a SRAM 11-speed 1x rear derailleur. The cassette gets really interesting. It's an 11 to 46 Sunrace cassette to get that low gear, and it works great with this derailleur. I might actually see if I can stick an 11 to 50 here and get kind of a poor man's eagle at 11 speed. So stay tuned for that video. One very important component that I think really makes this bike is the wheels. So the wheels, I will admit, are very fancy. They're Chris King R45Ds, so D for disc. So the hubs are great, but probably just as important is the rims. They are running these 27.5 NV rims, which are carbon, and they're freaking amazing. These wheels spin up really quickly. Definitely a noticeable difference from like kind of your standard alloy wheels. Yeah, and these wheels cost like 4 or 5 times more than the frame. Unfortunately, these wheels are on loan, so they will be going back to my friends at Chris King, sadly, but I am enjoying them so far on this build. So the seat post here is a Ritchie carbon seat post, and the saddle is a Brooks Cambium C15. Wasn't a big fan of the C17. I felt it was kind of too wide in certain areas. The C15 carved, a little bit more suited if you're kind of at a 45-degree angle bending into the bike rather than the more upright position. This bike with these wheels, which are loaners, sadly, weighs in at about 24.6 pounds, which is, I think, pretty good. You know, it's not a super weight weenie build. There's definitely areas where I could spend more money, drop some more pounds. For example, in the handlebar, I could swap that to carbon. You know, the Brooks C15, not particularly light. I think that's about a pound in of itself. Could swap it to a lighter saddle. Stem, I could swap to something lighter as well and probably get it solidly under 24 pounds and maybe around 23 pounds. Oh, I forgot. The tires are the Specialized Pathfinder Pros, set up as tubeless. So that is the build. A mix of nice parts, a mix of really nice borrowed parts and kind of very workmanlike parts. So fairly reasonable, I think. So what do I still think of the bike after having ridden it for the last couple of weeks? Do I still love it? Am I still in love with it? Has the honeymoon phase ended? Am I regretting buying the Bombora? So the short answer is yes, I still very much enjoy this bike. And for the same reasons why I liked it in the first place. It's an interesting combination of kind of a road-like rear end and a mountain bike front end. So, you know, rear chainstay 425. For me, that's kind of my happy number. I feel like it's quick and it's responsive and it climbs well. In the front, the trail is in the, I believe, in the upper 60s, low 70s. So on this build, you know, it's pretty stable in the front, which is great for all the mixed terrain riding I take it on. Works pretty well when I have a front bag on here as well. And also I still get that kind of springiness in the frame, both in the front and in the rear. So yes, I'm still very stoked on this bike. Brings a smile to my face every time I ride it. Currently probably my most ridden bike at the moment when I want to do just a quick and dirty gravel ride. It's quick, it's functional. I'm kind of bummed that, you know, it's only come together this late in the season. But hopefully I will be able to escape winter this winter and ride it in sunnier places and make more videos about it. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked on this bike. Can't wait to take it places. So what do you guys think of the build? Are you guys stoked on the Bombora as well? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any other questions, leave those in the comments. I'll be sure to answer them. And as always, keep the supple side down.